What is going on, everybody? Here we are beneath the hood. We are back.
Hello.
My name is AC Johnny. I'm here with Mr. Bubba. Bubba, how is it going?
It's going great. I love these sporadic podcasts that we do. Johnny and I were just talking we love talking about AC, but we also we're like mega nerds about like a million other things. And
Everything.
we find ourselves chatting about other nerdy things a lot off the pod. So maybe we'll bake some of that in a little bit. But
we always say we're gonna do like we always say we're gonna do like an hour, hour and a half, whatever. Sometimes the big ones like the shadow review and stuff, we go those 2 hours, whatever. But what you guys don't see is Bubba and I are always on for an extra hour minimum, just like yapping about like whatever it is, the recent Marvel movie or anything like that.
And Johnny keeps me up until midnight, and he's 2 hours ahead of me. So literally, I keep him up till like 2 a.m. I think one of our episodes, he was literally up till 3 a.m. Just
something
talking.
like that. I mean, we were talking about like the new Captain America or something, but yeah, and it's a Monday, guys. It's grind time, baby. We're out here. I love doing these, I really do, but we're so busy. So I would like to apologize for like the billionth time for the inconsistent uploads, but ideally, I feel like I'd love to put one of these out every 2 weeks. I think that's perfect. I think we'd have plenty to talk about. I just love doing it so much. I think it's so fun, and there's nobody I'd rather nerd out about with. So, Bubba, today we have a very, in the same realm of the shadows ending kind of stuff. We put together a small list, each of us today, and we wanted to talk about what we want for the future of Assassin's Creed to look like. These are specific things that we want the franchise to move toward in the future. And, it is tough in these, like, we have nothing. I made a TikTok about this recently where, like, in September 22, we had the Ubisoft Forward event, and we got all these stuff revealed, and we still haven't heard any. I mean, we had Shadows, and we had Mirage, but we're in this point right now where, like, theoretically, Hex could come out this year or next year, and it also could not exist. So it's a tough spot right now. So I figured this would be a good time to go ahead and say what we're looking for.
Yeah. Well, because obviously the entire Assassin's Creed fan base is very opinionated about what should be in the games and what should not be in the games. And yeah, with the upcoming games, we have no freaking idea. Like Ubisoft, I don't know what their PR team is doing. They've been, like they've had the delays, and that was a whole thing, and they delayed it, and they delayed it again and again. Internally, they delayed it a lot. And then you've got Assassin's Creed codenamed Jade, which is in China. It's the mobile game. That was like a finished game. They had the open
that will never
beta
come out
years ago, and it's still like usually like open beta. Okay, in the next 360 5 days, you're gonna get the game, and it never happened. And so we just don't know what's coming. They announced a ton of things again 3 years ago, but so much changed even with Shadows. Like how they announced the Assassin's Creed, is it like the Animus Hub is what they announced back then? And it was like this big thing.
Yeah.
They were going to have this big thing. Oh, this is the Animus Hub. And we never heard about it again. And I remember asking when Johnny and I demoed Assassin's Creed Shadows early, I asked them about that. I was like, okay, this feature where you kind of get to launch the games from the intro of the game. Okay, you've got here's Shadows timeline. Oh, here's Odyssey timeline. I said, is this replacing the Animus Hub? And they said, yeah, like that. This is kind of it. So it was not. And by the way, it's just stupid. You have to have all the games installed. I could go down this rabbit hole for a while. You can tell.
Actually, no. I actually want to talk about this really quick because I've never clicked on when. For those of you who don't know, when you fire up Shadows, you're not right into the game. Initially, you go through. It has a list of games, a small list, where it's set up like a timeline.
Yeah, which
is
cool.
It has like. It's a cool idea. It's exactly what, like, again, so unique to this series that they can pull this off. So it starts in like 400 BC or whatever, and it shows Cassandra, and then it goes to Bayek, and it's only the modern games. It goes from Origins to Shadows, but it has a list of all those games. I've never clicked on anything other than Shadows. Can you open a game from
so there? I've done it just to try it. I have it on PlayStation 5, and all of my Assassin's Creed games besides Shadows are on PC. And so I just tried it just to see what would happen. You literally need to have, of course, you need to have all of the games installed, which I don't know whose effing hard drive can have all of those games installed. They're enormous. But it literally just launches a game. That's it, dead ass. That is what happens, is if you click on Assassin's Creed Odyssey from that starting screen, it's just going to swap you over to the PlayStation main screen and then automatically launch Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And there's not like, and then once you're in AC Odyssey, there's no way to go back. So it's not like they implemented some update where you can do it from every game.
They should have like something in Ubisoft Connect or like some like Infinity, like there should be. Actually, COD has this. Call of Duty has this. You don't when I go to download COD, because I'll do it every now and then. I play with my college buddy still, and we have some fun on it. But when I go to Steam, for example, I'm on PC. I go to Steam and I download Call of Duty. I don't download Call of Duty 6. I download Call of Duty. I click on Call of Duty and it comes up with a big menu of all the games. They should kind of do that instead of having this new hub. It's just limited to Shadows. It doesn't make much sense. But
Play, right, where they have a game launcher for all of their games. Really, the only reason why that exists is the same as like other games like Blizzard, how they have their own launcher and all these other games. It's just so then if you buy their game off of their platform rather than Steam, then they make more money from it because they don't need to give a cut to Steam. So that's, I mean, it's really not out of convenience. It's out of profit margins for them. So it's just odd.
Totally.
And so anyways, you know, there's so many things that they announced 3 years ago that today is likely dead or changed drastically. Like, okay, we know vaguely, I guess we know that Assassin's Creed Black Flag is getting a remake. Who knows what that looks like, though?
That's the thing. That's like the most confirmed thing. Like that seems to be the most universally accepted thing that's like coming next, and it's the only thing that Ubisoft hasn't talked about. So we're in this awful like middle ground.
And honestly, they should not go and release a game and then have zero game plan to announce another one for the next year. It's like, what are you doing? Every successful game franchise after releasing a game, or I should say not every single one. Of course because what you don't want to happen is you release a game and they're like, okay, the next one's coming out next year. So like Call of Duty, they kind of do it too often and you know, I guess Battlefield back in the day, but really Call of Duty, they're like, hey, here's Black Ops 5. And then a year later, they're like, here's Black Ops 6. And you're like, hey, what? Let me have this, let this last, please. But, you know, you at least know that something's underway. So, like, when Civilization 4 came out, you knew that they were, or 5, you knew that they were working on 6. And then 6 comes out, and you know that they're working on 7. And so we don't know what they're working on. We don't have anything announced. They're worse than Bethesda at this point, where it's like, at least they tell us what they're working on, even though it takes an effing decade for them to finish games. We know that they're working on it. For Assassin's Creed, it's really just like, you know, shadows or it's like fog and mirrors or smoke and mirrors, where it's like, okay, hold on. The only thing that we really know is leaked, except for Assassin's Creed codename Hex, which again was announced years ago, and we don't know what the state of play is or what their plans are to release it and what it's going to look like. We have no idea.
I mean, it might, like, this happens all the time, especially for a company that's in like as much of a precarious situation as Ubisoft is in, where, you know, there's rumors of selling and there's rumors of just selling the, you know, the franchise or getting somebody else in there to make them and still saving the IP, whatever it is. Ubisoft is not in a stable point right now, and things like this happen all the time. Hex might be canceled. You might never hear anything about it. And we you know, we even had, I think a year ago or so out, there were some gameplay leaks. Like, the only thing I heard, not visual, but like I was reading about it, you can like control a cat and things like that, like some Dishonored shit or something. But like, so like, I'm sure that the game exists. I'm sure somebody's working on it out there, but that was a year ago, and we haven't heard an official thing in almost 3 years. I mean, to me, nothing is confirmed then. Nothing. The whole Jade thing, like you were mentioning earlier, tips me off even more that, like, who knows? I mean, maybe they said, you know what, my mobile game's not actually going to help us. Let's stop development. It might be bad press. Like, they might, or they're saving it for somebody else. Like, it's things are too much up in the air right now that we don't know a thing. And for that reason, we wanted to bring up some things that we are really looking for. So I don't know Bubba's list. Bubba doesn't know my list. We might have the same exact list. We did have one common thing, though, one common topic that we both know that we want in the future of every Assassin's Creed game to come, and that is the modern day. So, Bubba, I'm going to toss it to you. What specifically do you hope Ubisoft does with the modern day in Assassin's Creed going forward?
Well, I mean, I could talk about modern day forever, but I guess to speak to it, we need to talk about what Shadows didn't do. You know, Johnny and I, we talked about this on the last podcast, but we had very high hopes for Shadows modern day. And prior to Shadows coming out fully, we had played the demo, the beta that we were invited to, and you know, I remember Johnny asking me, what do you think they're going to do with the modern day? Because I'm afraid they're going to do nothing. And I literally said, no, there's no way. There's no way that they do nothing. Because in the last game, in Mirage, they had a reason to do nothing. Because, like, the modern day had kind of always been a negative part of Assassin's Creed. Not as far as the story goes, but as far as the gameplay, they always make it lesser. Which sucks, you know, and Layla was not an enjoyable character, I think, for 90% of the population that played the game. But the modern day lore, like in Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla, was like, whoa, like that is so cool. With, like, the Staff of Hermes and Odyssey and with the DLC, and then, you know, with the World Tree with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and they introduced Loki. You don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. And they left the whole game off on a huge cliffhanger for the modern day. Spoilers, you know, if you're hanging out in this podcast, you haven't played all of them. At the end, you've been warned. Layla dies, and Layla kind of goes to, like, this World Tree heaven, this Isu heaven with Desmond. So Desmond's been dead for a decade, but he's been inside the World Tree. His mind is stuck in there, and Layla joins him. So then they can find a way to save the world or have the world end and find a way back. That's kind of like Layla's take on it was, what if there's not a way to save the world? What if you have to let the world be destroyed, but then after that, there's a way to bring it back, just like what the Isu did. I mean, that's essentially what they did. They let it be destroyed, and then they came back after the destruction. So it's a very cool parallel that they paint up. In Mirage, it makes sense that they didn't have a modern day, not just because of the fan base not loving it, but you know, it was a smaller game. It was kind of meant to be a DLC at start, and the story is very simple. It's William Miles, who's Desmond's father, the leader of the assassins. He wants to know if he can trust Basim, who is Loki. They don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe they know he's Loki because the Animus memories, but they don't know if they can trust him. They know that he's an OG assassin, like before Altair assassin. But he's, you know, William's smart. And so he says, give me a vial of your blood, and I want to go through your memories and see if I can trust you. And he gives it up willingly. He's like, I think that's a great idea. Go for it. And so it's like he's being so confident in himself that he's like, yeah, go ahead. Look at my memories. You tell me. Like, am I trustworthy? So very cool. It was a very cool scene at the end of Valhalla that they showed, and not everybody watched it. I don't think I even got to that part in the game. It's like, I don't know if it's at the end of a DLC or something, but yeah. So that's what Mirage is, and I don't know who it is, but William Miles at least. Maybe it's him going into the Animus or somebody that he's watching go in the Animus, and go and go through his memories. So it makes sense. There's no modern day. It's just him going through. I thought for sure that Shadows was going to go back to that and talk about Loki and talk about William Miles. There wasn't even voice lines. They didn't even pull in Assassin's Creed Unity where you hear Rebecca and Sean in the background saying, you know, you don't even have a name, but they're just saying what to do and what's happening out there, and you're kind of, okay, something's happening outside the Animus, but I've got to plug away in here and keep going. So they needed it.
Well,
they needed it, and they didn't have it.
That's kind of the funny thing, because it felt almost like they started to have that right in the beginning with the thing with the lady who is like she's lying or whatever the Animus says to you, like, this is evil. And the Animus talks to you in the beginning where it's like, you're going to go through these memories. And this is only at the beginning of the game. And it kind of they didn't forget about it. I know, like, not for a fact, but I'd bet so much money that this was such a thought about, conscious thing to be like, we're going to nip this thing in the bud. We're going to cut that off. Nobody cares about modern day. We're going to keep this thing to ninjas and samurai, and people are going to love it. And it worked, like, to its credit. I think it just kind of, leaves this series kind of crippled a little bit without that line that I always talk about that runs through these games that connects them all. That line is now chopped, right? And they have to somehow start it again. So in that same note, I have a question for you, Bubba, is that, do you want what do you want the modern day to look like? Do you want a new protagonist in the same style of Desmond or Layla? Do you want, the first person stuff like Black Flag? Do you want just cutscenes or like how do you think they should structure it going
I think
forward?
they very well could just do cutscenes. They don't need to do I think God of War does that very well, where they tell a lot of story through cutscenes or gameplay, but the ones that you really need to pay attention to are in cutscenes. And so people complain about the story's really good that they're telling, but the gameplay of playing as Desmond sucks. Like, I don't want to wander around and follow what's her face, from AC2 and 3 and stuff, or go to Brazil as Desmond and then shoot Brazilian cops. Like, it's just like, it was such a, oh man, I gotta get out of the fun stuff and do this stuff to get through the story. Yeah, just make it cutscenes, and you know what? Make them skippable. If you really don't care, skip them.
Great. Make everybody happy then. But we need that.
Yeah, exactly. We do need it. And honestly, they could even go the route of how some other games, they have a lot of the lore, kind of in the menu and you need to find it. So one thing that Assassin's Creed Shadows
items
does that I really liked, and I don't really do this in other games, is, it's a historical game, and you will come across places that are real and that are still there today. And there's a little glowy white orb in front of locations and artifacts and stuff. And if you scan it, it'll kind of pop up a little screen in the bottom corner that says hold menu to view. And if you go, it'll take you to your menu and inside all the database and whatever, and you can read up about Oda Nobunaga. You can read up about some fortress or some ancient temple. And it's I didn't do it to everything, but every now and then I was like, is this a historical thing? And I read about it. I'm like, whoa. And that actually helped me better appreciate the actual story that they were telling, because the past 100 years prior to this video game of history is actually very relevant to Oda Nobunaga's story and the politics of Japan at the time. And those little, bits of information historically were very helpful. They did spoil it for me. They spoiled that Oda Nobunaga dies.
That's crazy.
That's
actually crazy.
But it is funny. So I won't be surprised if they patch that or something. But if they had something like that where it's all of the cutscenes are in some day, I don't know. It doesn't have to be that down the line, but they can save it. In my opinion, and again, I could be wrong, just like I was last time, and if I am, I will be very upset. We talked about last time that the reason why they didn't is because they just needed to focus on samurai assassins, the most badass Assassin's Creed, theoretically, that you could possibly conjure up. We need it to just be that. We cannot have any low notes in this game. We cannot have anything that people don't care about. We need to keep their attention the entire time. We need to play Subway Surfers above the screen that you're playing at all times to keep all these Gen Z freaking brain rot kids in here. And they did a great job. I think they accomplished what they set out to do. However, similar to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, all of the modern day stuff was really in the DLC, which, by the way, I did not play. I did not play yet. I probably will soon, but I've not played the DLCs. I've seen all the cutscenes from the DLCs, and I've seen gameplay.
I haven't played them either.
But seriously, all of the modern day, the Staff of Hermes and the Trials and the Isu, and you get to see Hades was an Isu and Zeus and Poseidon and all this. It's it is very, very cool. They explain all of that, and they explain why the Minotaur and Medusa, why are they in the game? This is very mythological. This is a new turn for this game franchise. They explain why. and that they used the Isu used this technology to create these beasts for, different various purposes, and they were experimenting, and it was actually like very taboo that they were doing these things. So it's like cool. They like, okay, they did it in the DLC,
a lore
but
reason.
it was badass, and there's a reason for all of it, but they did it all in the DLC. So I'm hoping that they do the same here, where the DLCs really dive into that modern day. And I think a fun way that they could go about it, just personally, creatively, I think that if they had twins or some kind of like dual protagonists in the modern day, just like they have in the past, where you've got someone going into Yasuke's memories. And by the way, they've gotten way too techy with the Animus, like all the way down to like VR goggles, and you don't need to be a descendant. You just need their DNA and then plug in, and then now I've got VR goggles. I'm in the Animus. No. I want the storyline to be like, no, we don't have access to that. Yes, it exists, but we have the OG red chair Animus from freaking 2006, and maybe it's risky because the bleeding effect is going to make you go insane, just like Subject 16. And so maybe they could include that into the story. And they're really worried about these, protagonists in the modern day. They're starting to kind of lose their mind a little bit, and they need to figure out a solution for that. But bottom line, having dual modern day protagonists would be so cool. But you still got the OG team. And the reason why they have 2 new people is because they actually have a team of new people, and they're trying to build up the assassins in the modern day just like they did, hundreds of years ago. So they could get away with it. That's all I'm saying. They can still do it in the DLCs, but I don't have that much faith in them.
I agree with everything you said. We've said it a million times, especially on this podcast. I'm sure you guys are all sick of hearing it, but it is so important to these games. We need modern day all it would do, it would take the games to like that higher level of like being a fun game to play to a goddamn great game. It's what we said Shadows was missing. I said in the last podcast, like, I can see the path where Shadows is my favorite Assassin's Creed. And everything is there. Exactly. And it was right there. All they had to do was put in some modern day and have a really interesting story, and it would almost certainly be my favorite. I love playing that game even without it. So I really think it would just help elevate these games past like, another Assassin's Creed. It's going to be like a, hack and slash kind of storyless, pretty historical game. Like it would help.
And it makes it non-memorable.
It would really help elevate it.
Like, I don't remember the story of that game. I remember the gameplay, but that fades over time. Whereas like the story of the OGAC games and even like the Witcher games, it's like, it really is the story that I remember. If you can't tell, we're very passionate about this honorable mention. We have other items.
So actually, I think we've beat the shit out of this topic. So, my first item. So the way we set this up, guys, is Bubba came up with 3 topics. I came up with 3 topics. These are wishes that we have for the future of Assassin's Creed, and I will start with one just because it kind of ties into this a little bit. Are you going
ranked like 3, 2, 1, so like least to most? Like this is, by the way, this is like what we want to see in future AC games, and this could be game mechanics, this could be story, hits, beats.
Yeah, it's anything. It's random.
Anything. What do you want to see in Assassin's Creed moving forward? What do they need to change? What do you want? Just cool things. So this is number 3 on your list, right?
That's right. This is the one that like.
Maybe mix them up a little bit.
No, okay, wait. No. Actually, I'm thinking about this further. If I have a number 3, it's okay. Well, let me segue into a new number 3 then, because I think so. Okay, my number 3, the thing I want but not a lot. I went with like a specific time period, like a specific historical setting. As I've said a million times, I love these games primarily for the history. I love, like, all the shows I watch Vikings, I watch Shogun, or I watch Star Wars, or I don't find things that are happening right now that fun. Like, it's if it's happening in this time period, like, I'm bored. I want like a historical setting. I think that's the coolest part. So if I could pick one, it would be World War I. And I know that's so controversial because of guns, because of how modern it would be.
But we've had a taste of it.
We have had a taste of it, but in my opinion, that's like the wrong taste. That was like World War I in London.
Dude, that was my favorite part of that freaking game.
Well,
Lydia.
that's all well and good.
Heck yeah,
But
dude.
oh my God, I've had this dream.
I mean, put aside mommy goals, but like the gameplay was also really good too.
Well,
Lydia can get it.
Well, yeah, she's got that giant hood, but he's married. I'm not. I just have a girlfriend. Anyway, Evie. Anyway,
now he's going on the mommy train.
Well, if we're talking mommy, Ranvi will always be number one.
No, I can never get behind that.
Bubba, we can't get sidetracked.
They just stole Cassandra's hair. I can never.
That's the point, because he gets her mixed up with her. Fine, whatever. Anyway, back to World War One. What I genuinely think this would be so like I'm such a nerd, you guys. I've pictured like I've fully choreographed like a CG trailer in my mind about like this British kid or like some Australian kid who's like in the trenches, and like they could have so many cool mechanics in this game. Like guns is tough, right? But what if, part of the new creed or whatever is that you have to like stay silent? Like there's ways around it. Or, I mean, Ezio used a gun. So if he uses a gun in that same way where it's like a little gun, it like a hidden blade gun, just like Ezio's, but it like looks a little more World War One-y. But imagine there's like mechanics where you can like sneak around trenches, you assassinate some guy, you can put on his outfit and walk by. Because, in Unity, they had the one where you can like transform and like it's the stupidest ability of all time.
Literally,
where you like scan some NPC. Like imagine you put on their like German like uniform and then you like sneak through their trenches and like kill their commanders. Like there's so many cool things you could do in this game that doesn't have to be like guns blazing. Like there can be some gun stuff that would be cool, like if there's a little bit of it.
Yeah,
but like let's say instead of a hidden blade, like his looks like a bayonet or something sick. Like there's so many cool things that this series hasn't even touched, that like World War One specifically would be so fun with. Trench stuff, you could sneak into cities and buildings and assassinate like high-ranking officers, and you could be doing it for like I'm so obsessed. Truthfully, I think this is the most modern it could go. Everyone always says like Syndicate's too modern. I adore Syndicate, as everybody knows. So like to me, like the more modern, it just gets better every time. But I think, yeah, maybe World War II when they have like full-blown, fully automatic guns and tanks and like more planes than there were in World War I. And yeah, maybe that gets a bit too much. But I think specifically trench warfare, they could have some sick missions with. And don't even make it open world.
As far as guns are concerned too, like, I mean, think of the Hitman games. The Hitman games were phenomenal stealth-based games that were modern. And, if a gun goes off,
Metal Gear.
You're effed. Like, everybody there is going to know you're there. And I think it'd be a really cool game mechanic where, like, let's say you're assassinating 3 guys in a room, and they're all armed. If you go and silently assassinate one and the others notice, you need to disarm them quickly or take them out quickly or have tools that distract them from pulling out their weapon and firing a shot, because even if they miss, like, everyone is going to come and alert, and maybe have ways to, like, stealth out of it if you need to, if you're in a really big pit, like in Mirage. It's like there's times that you get overwhelmed and you're like, I got to dip. And then they're on high alert for the rest of the time. Like, there's just ways that you can do it.
I think so.
I guess that leads into...
Look at Metal Gear.
Leads into one of mine. I guess this is technically an honorable mention, and I'll mention it here. It's social stealth. They took out social stealth from Shadows. They had it in Mirage. I don't think it's a huge thing. People talk about it quite a bit as if it's a deal breaker if they don't have social stealth. I think that they've just touched the surface of social stealth, like just like going into a crowd or sitting on a bench and things like that. I did like what Mirage did, where you can pretend like you're a worker doing something. Same with Valhalla. I think Valhalla might have been the first one to do that, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm just weaving a rug, and I think that's really cool. And then there's assassinations out of those spots. That's very cool. And so the fact that they took those away for Shadows is actually very interesting, especially with how many NPCs they have now, like wandering around. That would have been a big opportunity. So like in World War I setting, like you mentioned, social stealth where you're blending in, wearing uniforms, things like that. And maybe if you kill a guard, you got his shirt all bloody, but his helmet's still good, so you can take his hat and you're blending in 30%, and so you're like 60%, or 70% less likely to be noticed, or more like
Something like that.
It's just like if you can put together an outfit and whatever, and then blend in.
Yeah, there's some cool mechanics.
Yeah, there's just cool ideas.
Make
there.
smoke bombs mustard gas or something. Like they could do so, and you have to have a gas mask, and then you don't get affected. That'd be sick. There's so much there's so much cool shit. All right, so it could be a little darker tone. That's fine. I think that would be fun. I don't know. That is my like dream setting. I've always thought it would fit so perfectly, and it is untapped, and I think it would be also like a hit. I really do. I think World War I is honestly at this point like romanticized in a similar way World War II is. A lot of people are so fascinated by the history and the time period that I think it would be an absolute hit. So
yeah.
that is in my number 3 spot, my dream setting.
Well, I think my number 3 really was Social Stealth. I'm forgetting we did an honorable mention for modern day and Isu stuff, so that one was kind of higher on my list.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my number 3 was Social Stealth. I won't go deeper into that. One thing I do have here on my list though is better gear and leveling and customization. The gear leveling I did not love in Shadows. I think if they went back to how Valhalla and even Odyssey did it, I think Valhalla for gear leveling was the best.
Beautiful.
And then
beautiful.
Shadows, as far as customization, was fine. As far as how they customize things, it was great because you can put on any appearance of any armor that you do attain, just like in Odyssey. That's perfect. Mm-hmm. You can't change colors or anything like that. I don't care about it being that deep. But I talked about this last time. The amount of options that they give you are not like Odyssey had a plethora of different options and armors, and even Valhalla, where there's so many different looks that you can have with your character. Like you can look like a stealthy assassin, or you can look like, mercenary, or you can look like a Greek god, or, there's just so many cool outfits, and some of them are even Isu or whatever. In Shadows, it was like, if you're Yasuke, it's like you can either have your samurai helmet on, you can have a tweed hat, or you can have a bandana. Pick your 3. And that's it. That's all I ever got. And I got different variations. Like, oh, you want a purple bandana or a blue bandana? I'm like, I just don't want a bandana. So, okay, do you want a really big tweed hat or a medium tweed hat? I just don't want a tweed. And they're all covering your eyes, by the way. And so it's like, geez, my options were so like Yasuke's options. Maybe I just wasn't finding loot, but the fact that I put 70 hours into that game and didn't get good loot for Yasuke. And I do a lot of freaking side missions. That's why it took me so long to beat that game, because I do side stuff a lot. And so I just didn't love all the options that they had. So that's a minor one. Those are kind of my
think
3 there.
So is that your number 2?
No, that's my number 3 was Social Stealth, and then I just threw in an honorable mention on top of that, since I kind of went into
I see.
in tandem with
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to just ask a question about that, because to me, like, I love Valhalla's upgrading system, like you said. I agree. I agree with everything you said. I think Shadows could use a lot more gear in particular, especially like I got all my cool gear in Shadows from getting keys. And then you can like in the store, you get like to spend these keys and you get some really sick looking stuff. It doesn't cost money. You don't actually have to spend real world money. You just get like one every 10 hours. You get like one really cool gear piece. So like I kind of get it, but I totally agree with you. I think boiling it down to a helmet or a hat and like the rest of your body is also kind of weak. I personally, I think Valhalla was great. Probably my second favorite gear customization in Assassin's Creed. My number 1, bar none, not even close. And it blows my mind that we haven't seen anything like it since, is Unity. I love, not only can you pick each, your pants, your coat, your hood, your everything, like individually, they all have cool, like, there's 6 classes. It's like the military, the brigand. And then each of those 6 classes has like a base level, an intermediate, then it's like master, and then it's like master assassin level. And they all the same style. Like the medieval one is like kind of ratty, tattered leather. It just gets cooler, and then you get armor and stuff. So like you can still pick the theme and get like more legendary. That was kind of similar to Valhalla. But the best part about that customization system was you could do all of that and then pick any color. Like they had the brightest yellows, greens, reds. They had blacks and whites and browns. And that gives that game such a cool identity. It's one of my absolute favorite parts about Unity. So I can't believe they haven't gone back to that, because Syndicate took it away entirely. One of the worst gear customization is in Syndicate. And I don't know. I think going forward, like, I think that would be, I need specifically color palettes. I need it back.
It's just one of those, like, what are they doing? Like,
what are they doing?
They get such great feedback. And they're like, all right, team, people loved Unity's customization. Let's throw it all away and give them 2 weapon options and give them 2, like, it was awful. Like you said, in Syndicate, there's no options. And the I think they just had like 10 outfits max or something. And most of them were like old outfits. Like,
similar.
Oh, here's Edward Kenway's outfit and here's Ezio's outfit.
Yeah, it's lame,
and
lazy, dumb.
I don't know why. Unity, and this is just a very small tangent, Unity, they nailed all of the historical outfits. Every single one, Altair, Ezio, Connor, Edwards, down to the texture. It was phenomenal. Syndicate, I dare you to look up the Syndicate version of Edward Kenway's. It looks like brown. It looks like
it's very
my
different
hat, and that's his hood. It's like, what
different.
What is this coloring and texturing that they made for this? And everything is wonky, except the one that I do love in that game is the one Asian protagonist from, like, I think it was a comic book line.
Oh, Xiao Jun. Yeah.
Xiao Jun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not very familiar
she's in
with
the
them.
little side
that
scroller,
outfit.
Yes.
Fire.
Gas.
I used that the whole
Yeah.
game. That was so sick.
Yeah, that is gas. I another little quick tangent but it relates to your wish. I want back like your quintessential, like, this is your Arno Master Assassin outfit. It's not the one in the trailer, but this is like his, like, final form, lore accurate. This is his Master Assassin outfit. I guess technically, like, now I did get that. I think it's the bright red one. So, like, okay, I'll give you a pass. And when you beat the game, you get that, like, fully red one. You didn't get that?
Maybe I did. I just didn't look. I think the second I finished the game, I'm like, okay, I'm done. Like, okay, now I need to go record Johnny right now.
You do. She actually gets a really cool master outfit, but I always loved, like, Eivor doesn't really have that. He has, like, his Ravens clan, like, final armor, but that doesn't really count. And, like, Alexios never really did. Bayek has one, I believe. He's got, like, this big brown furry one with, like, some Egyptian stuff on it. Looks sick. I love a good, like, Basim has one. It's his Master Assassin outfit. It looks really cool.
Amazing. Basim and Bayek. They both get it where the hood, because both of their outfits, right? they don't have, like, it doesn't come to a point, and then both of their Master Assassin outfits, they have a point there with, like, a bird emblem on it, and it's gas.
Excellent. It is. It's all gas. Yeah. So I think I'm agreeing with you on every front there. I think that's a good point. Should I move to my
number
second
2
desire here? Number two. So this one, the World War I was a genuine, like, long ball, hope, and a dream. I think this is an important one for the series. I think this is, like, something they should be doing, and it hasn't happened in 14 years, which is crazy to say out loud. But I need not a modern-day protagonist. I need multiple games with the same in-animus protagonist. And I know that's tricky for them. And the reasons that's tricky for them, the reason that's hard for them is because that means they have to make 3 games roughly in the same time period / historical setting in a row. And that's hard for them to market. But if you do shorter games, or you find some, like, absolute, like, okay, it's not hard to do because every game does this. God of War 1 through 3, it was all Greek. Every freaking game series does this. Death Stranding's in the same world every time, but it relies on a story that makes you want to go back to that world. I love Death Stranding's world more than anything in the whole. I love it. It's my favorite game world ever, and I couldn't wait to go back for Death Stranding 2. I couldn't wait. And, like, they're so afraid that, like, oh, they're not going to want to go back to the same historical setting. We have to switch it up for marketing purposes. But look at how they did it with Venice. Like, Italy was so gold that it worked for 2 games in a row, and you could even see their fear about it back then, because they, instead of making a third Italian game, they went out to the Middle East with Ezio, and they could do that. They can have this guy travel around. It is so important because it gets you attached to the character in a way that's more than just straight up gameplay time. Because in these new games, like, I'm more attached to Alexios and Eivor than any of the other protagonists. And it's simply out of the fact that I've played with them the most, which is like kind of a cheap way out. You want to be invested in their life. We see Ezio's entire life from when he's like 18 to when he dies. And I think that's why he's the best character. That's why he's everybody's favorite, is because you are with him. You see his whole story, his fully thought out character arc among 3 games. You see how he evolves along the 3 games. It's so essential to get people back and invested in this series, to have a character to care about, and you can't do that without spanning multiple games. So I don't know if that means they go, and they abandon the RPG formula, which it sounds like they might be doing with Hex. So, like, okay, but grow a pair, I think, is what my final little thought on this to Ubisoft. Because, again, same thing with, like, the modern day. Like, that's something that will elevate this series from being a fun, violent, pretty-looking game to like a good story, a good video game, a good piece of art that people care about and that they're attached to, is a good, solid main character. And that's what they've been missing since Ezio. So.
Yeah, I think that, they've done it. I think that they've done a very good job of I'm going to compare this kind of to like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, because when you start that series, I was in Iron Man, in the theaters when Iron Man 1 came out, and they give you no intention of like, oh, this is going to be something bigger. And of course, they have the end credit scene with Nick Fury, but nobody knew Marvel comics that well at the time, so they're like, who's this eye patch guy? And like Nick Fury also in the comments
is white,
black. He was white, and so nobody knew, and nobody knew what they were going to. And then, hold on. At the end of the Hulk, they do a similar thing, and whoa! At the end of Iron Man 2, they have Thor's hammer, and whoa, they're ramping to something. And then the Avengers happened, and that had never happened, to my knowledge, really, in cinematic history. That's why Avengers was such a huge thing, because they made these standalone, and they were truly standalone. They weren't trying to be connected like the X-Men. It's like no, we don't know what's going on. And then it's like they tie it all together, and you're like, whoa. And then they did it again with like Guardians of the Galaxy. How are they ever going to do that? Oh, they did it. And, for Assassin's Creed, they did a similar thing, just on a smaller scale. They told Altair's story, and then they told a guy 200 years later named Ezio during the Renaissance. How are those connected? And usually the answer would be, they're not. And that's been their approach for the past while. It's, they're not. And there's no connection. But in this, it's like, no, Altair, who you played as, had a huge impact on the assassins overall. And so the fact that Ezio's family idolizes him and literally has a statue of him and other master assassins in their basement, and they even have his armor, and it's not just for the sake of armor. They are talking about Altair all the time, all the way to Revelations, where it's half his game. Like, that was like Assassin's Creed Avengers Endgame. That was mind-blowing to see Desmond, Altair, and Ezio all like in the same game, being told in the same story, and like breaking that third wall or fourth wall. So cool. And then, they didn't really do that anymore so much after that. They did have a weird one in Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Odyssey with Cassandra / Alexia. Well, it was Cassandra no matter what, which is a whole nother thing. But, just connecting them. And it's totally possible to connect them without them being in the same spot. Like, it doesn't need to be in Italy every time. And I think Origins had a great opportunity. Oh my gosh, they just told a game in Egypt, and then they could have gone right to Rome. Right, and this is not Italian Rome. This is Roman Rome. Yeah. And they literally had Aya in Rome building the Brotherhood, while Bayek was in Egypt building the Brotherhood. How on earth did they not have that be the sequel to Origins? They had it lined up, and there's a lot of other
a Bayek one.
Yeah, well, and then
it could have been an Aya game.
After Caesar dies, there's a lot of political craziness that happens with the empire. Like, that's a time to tell a story, is the Roman Empire, and you did one game, and it wasn't even in Rome? Like, that's like the biggest era in history.
Yeah,
and
you missed
they could have gone
it.
to
Yeah, you're
Greece,
right.
and they could have gone to the Middle East, and during that time. And they could have
Yeah.
gone to Spain during that time, where Romans are like these mega Templars. And it's
Yeah.
just baked into the strongest empire that the world has ever seen. So anyways, I'm going down the rabbit hole, but it could have been so cool.
That's because it would have been like, let me go down the rabbit hole with you. Like, it would have been like, in Star Wars when it's like 2,000 years ago and it's like everything's just Sith. Like, it's the time of the Sith. Like, that's just that was the norm as like, we're so used to the Jedi stuff. Back in the Old Republic, it was, or before, whatever. I don't know the Star Wars stuff too deeply, but it was all Sith. That could have been like peak Templar time. Like, they were not hiding in the shadows. Templar was the thing, and the assassins were like,
and they were in charge of everything.
It
was working.
They could have, yeah. It would have
Their
been
methodology was working.
And the sequel doesn't even have to be Bayek. It could have been a fully Aya game. Like, it could have, and like, look at like, oh man. So, yeah, that's for me. I think an actual like in animus true sequel would do so much good for this series in the eyes of a lot of people.
And just to kind of nerd out about Origins for a minute, if you remember in Origins at near the end of the game, you play as Aya in Rome for a little bit. That was very cool, and it was very difficult because she does not have the same build out that Bayek does. She's a very different character. So they could have gone very similar to gameplay in Mirage, where it's like, no, you are not a tank. You are not the Magi of Egypt. You are an assassin through and through. You're not. You have to be stealthy. Whereas Bayek was like a tank, and so, it would have been so cool to have a scene just like they had in Origins where you get to play one mission as Aya. They had some boat missions too, but actual like fighting missions as Aya. If halfway through the game, Bayek comes to help Aya just like Aya does in one of the Hidden Ones DLC, Aya shows up and saves him from like dying on a cross, like literally being hung or being tied to a cross and dying, crucified.
Yeah.
Similar thing where Bayek can come, and he was there, for another thing anyways, and you play as Bayek getting Aya out of some jail or whatever, like, and to be back as Bayek after being away from him for so long would have been such a chills moment, like, oh, he's back, let's go.
That would have been sick. I think I actually,
and they can still do it technically, but I don't know, it's kind of faded at this point.
I think it is a little faded. I think it would still sell, but I think it's so funny you mentioned that specific mission because that is my favorite mission in Origins.
Oh, really?
It was. I remember that mission so fondly because you have this like enormous. It's the final mission of the game. You have an enormous courtyard to go through as Aya and assassinate Julius Caesar, right? And I will never forget it. It's like I went through it in one go. I killed every single person. I was not detected, and when I did it, I was like,
and that's a hard mission to do that on, by the way.
It was, which is why I was so proud of it. And I remember I genuinely like sat back and like admired my work. I was like, that was sick. That I really struggle with stealth in Origins specifically. So when I did that with Aya, I was like, oh,
I have to cheese it like every time. I have to cheese it.
It's so much more of a testament to the game design and the level design because all the little shrubs that they hide in the right spots and you whistle the guys over and like it's very fun. I love that mission, and that's just that my love for that mission makes it even worse that we didn't get a full-blown version of that game. But alas, here we are. I just hope wherever they go forward we get a little more of the same guy so we could get attached to somebody and invested in their story. And again,
because Shadows was completely disconnected, and the most Easter egg stuff that we had was them mentioning what happened to the Templars and Assassins 100 years, not even 100, it was like 70 years prior. With Ezio in Rome, and like there was this big thing, and they don't even Ezio was alive for quite a while after that, but they're maybe 30 years apart, and so like you could have definitely had like his younger sister have influence because she's like over a part of the Assassins as well, and like she's over the Assassins in Rome. I don't know how many of you guys know that listening to this, but like Ezio's sister is in charge of the Assassins in Rome, and so when he leaves, he doesn't leave it empty-handed. And one thing that you realize with Ezio is like it's it starts out a mission of revenge, and then it turns into a mission of, oh, this is my heritage, and then it turns into, oh, hold on, the Templars, this is like an evil organization in Italy. I gotta work with my teammates to take them down. Whoa, hold on. They're trying to take over the whole Mediterranean and using these godlike, mysterious artifacts to try to take over, the Western world. Oh my gosh! And it just kept growing, and Ezio was sending out. Do you remember sending out assassins like throughout the Mediterranean?
Oh
like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, send these guys to Spain.
Yeah.
Even just that tiny game mechanic made it feel like he's a big deal. Like he is the head of the Assassin's Brotherhood, and even though there's not gameplay all over the place, he's sending out people all the time. And even the final missions in Spain, where you kill the Borgia guy, and so it's like you get this sense of like this is bigger than just him. All the way down to then, the story with Altair and going in the past. And even, the AC3, AC4, AC Rogue being tied. How cool was that? They never crossed paths. I mean, Hatham does. Hatham really gets around.
Right,
he's like
Hatham's your thread.
He's the middleman with all of those generations, with Edward and with Connor and all that.
Yeah.
That was so cool to have that tying connection with those 3 games. And we haven't had it since. Not really.
No, outside of like Layla, but that sucked, and that doesn't count.
Yeah, just outside of Cassandra in that one mission where she fights Eivor.
Well, that and like the like this is what I mean. Like they could have. This is the last thing I'll say, and then you can go on to your second point. But like they. It's almost like they actively avoided it, because another fun fact that people don't know is Aya is a direct descendant of Cassandra. Like that's fire.
And the
that's
way in
sick,
which we know that is like,
it's like they avoid it.
Yeah.
And that's the shit you could feed generations off that one little snippet. You could do so much more with and make it so much cooler, where Aya has like some prophet moment or something, and she's like, wait, with it could have been an Altair, Ezio, like Cassandra, Aya, like it could have been sick, but
Cassandra was alive during all of that. And so to have Aya be a direct descendant of Cassandra, who's effing alive.
True. So true. How cool would that have been?
Yeah.
Whatever.
To have Cassandra be like you think that it's just a game about this like Greek god who has nothing to do with the assassins, to then turn it into, no, she was like pivotal during the assassins. And Bayek and Aya came up with the idea, but Cassandra met up with Aya in Rome and was actually behind the scenes during all of this. And so if they told the story of Assassin's Creed Odyssey and then went right to a game, and you're like, hold on, this seems like a tangent. And then they go to Rome and they explain how Cassandra's there as this god figure.
Would have cooked.
So many things.
All right.
Ubisoft, what are you doing? Hire us. Your creative team is not.
Please. we would sell your games like freaking hotcakes, but we would cook. Oh, you and me, we could imagine that. One day, dream job. Anyway, go ahead, Bubba. Hit your second.
My number 2 is very simple, and it is co-op. I want to have co-op game play again, just like Unity. Unity was so much fun to this day. AC John and I loved. It's been like a year since we've done it, but playing co-op, like the worst part about that was the servers. The Ubisoft servers are so bad. I don't even think they're supported on PlayStation and Xbox anymore. It's like literally just PC, but the feeling is the same. When it's working, it's like, oh, I remember being a kid playing Assassin's Creed 2 and thinking, man, this is so fun. I wish I could like play the story with my friends. Because like during that time when Assassin's Creed 2 up, and 3, kind of that time frame, like 2010, co-op games were the shiz. Dude, every game company was playing co-op games. Lego games were co-op games. All of the Nintendo games were a huge hit. Army of Two was one of my favorite co-op games. Like there's so many co-op games that are like pivotal from that time. And it's amazing. And so to have Unity actually be like, no, this isn't just, it's not like AC Brotherhood where it's like a weird kind of mini game co-op. It's not even co-op, it's like PvP. This is like, no, this is co-op. And granted, it's not the main story. They did it in a very creative way where they're like, yeah, you are different assassins from Arno, and you're going through very pivotal historic events that happened during the Revolution. And yeah, Arno wasn't like Connor. He wasn't in every single one of those, because that was actually kind of a complaint about AC3 is like, wait a minute, you're telling me this guy was in every single effing historical event that ever happened in the dawn of America? It's like, well, in this case, they're like, no, Arno's not that guy. but the Assassins were. The Assassins as an entity were, and the Templars. And so telling that story with the co-op campaign was so cool. Like, they could easily do that in any of their recent games. And the fact that they just hang that up and never touch it again, not even in Syndicate, which was a direct sequel, just sucks. So I think that there is a lot of potential still for co-op. They could even make it as simple as Ghost of Tsushima. Their co-op was like kind of like survival-based, arena, whatever, like, waves of enemies kind of thing. Like, it doesn't have to be the way that Unity did it, but like Ghost of Tsushima, their co-op is so fun. And I don't know how many people play it.
I've never played it.
Yeah, it's a freaking ton of fun if you get a group going. So anyways, that's my simple number 2, co-op. I think most people can agree with that. It'd be cool to have the option.
I totally agree with that, especially the Unity perspective, because as you guys know, like, Unity was my first Assassin's Creed, and it was all because of that reveal trailer. And that reveal trailer, when they are like, that was
so
Unity's
hype, bro.
It's so that's Unity's selling point. That was the marketing, was Unity. It's you play it together. It's a revolution. You're coming together with your buddies. And when, like, that trailer, when there's multiple assassins like running the shit and climbing up the wall and like working together, and then when you're doing it in game, it actually looks like that. Like, Bubba and I remember this because I was going to die, and Bubba, like, out of nowhere came and like destroyed this guy, just killed him, jumped on his neck and stabbed him in the neck. And it was like, wow, that was sick. Like that, like, moments like that are so fun. It felt like we were in the trailer. Like, it was fire, specifically in Unity, where, like, oh my God, now you fit it into World War I, and they're buddies, and they grew up together, and now they're, oh my God, it could be so good.
It doesn't even have to be that. It could be, here's a battalion of guys on D-Day, or that was World War II, but here's a battalion of guys on this mission, and here's like this group of guys in France, here's this group of assassins in Normandy, or what, like all these different places, that because World War I was Europe. It was all of Europe. And so it's like, and World War II. And so,
would have been so good.
The multiplayer fleshing out the history, because that's what it did. It fleshed out the historical relevance of the Assassins and Templars within history, which is why we play these games. And it, without having it be like Connor, where it's like, no, literally Connor did all of this. It's like, no, and he didn't do all of it, or whoever the main protagonist didn't do all of it. But we're still going to tell you some really badass stories that happened during this time period that we don't dare skip over. We're just not going to have our main guy do it. We're going to have co-op do it.
It's such a good way to do it. I think that's actually a great point. Yeah. Oh. You hire us, Ubisoft. Hire us right now. We will make you so much money.
All right, Johnny, tell me your number one thing that you want to see in Assassin's Creed with games moving forward. Whether it's a pipe dream or not, what is it?
It's not a pipe dream at all, and it's really niche, and it kind of sounds funny as my number one thing, but and it's back to Unity, actually, because I played Unity first. Like I just said, it was my first Assassin's Creed, and the knowledge that I had going into Unity was like, yes, Assassins and Templars. That's basically, like, I knew the two factions and they're fighting each other. I knew that just as a casual fan of video games. Like, everybody knows that it's Assassin's Creed. That's what it's about. What I didn't realize is that Unity was so special because, and this is one of my favorite parts about Unity, it's so niche and it's so small, but it is the fact that there is such an established, organized brotherhood. And you have this area where you keep going back to this little home base, and it's really pretty looking, and all the assassins are hanging out there, and there's a table, and there's like a board, and it's kind of like a little mini government, and it's so organized and real that's what I thought the Brotherhood looked like. That's what I thought Assassin's Creed looks like, when in reality, that is the only example of that is shown. The rest of them, especially, I mean, obviously in Origins, they're starting it. It's non-existent in Odyssey. in Valhalla, you do get that kind of vibe, and even actually Mirage is actually a really good example of that, like established, true, like organized home base
Yes
brotherhood
and no.
organization.
I will just note one thing on that. Mirage let me down because there weren't any NPC assassins walking around the bureaus. It was just like the shop guy, like the upgrade guy, and like the mission guy, and that's it. There was nobody else.
I was more so. I was kind of talking about, what do you call it? The place where you start the game, where they're all residing and you do your training and all that stuff.
Oh,
like
yeah, like Masyaf, and then what was the other one?
Yes, it's Masyaf, and yes, the other one that looks just like Masyaf. It was Masyaf before it, or something like that.
Masyaf was after.
It looks just. Anyway, that it did exist, but then you go back to AC2, and it's kind of like a ragtag bunch of people. You go to
Alamut. It's Alamut.
Alamut.
I was like, dude, it's going to kill me. People are already commenting it's effing Alamut, bro.
But I mean, it feels very like ragtag, like we're going to just do this, like, and even like AC3, right? There is no brotherhood. It's just, what's his face? The old man.
That's the story.
And
yeah.
That's right. That's the story. But then in Black Flag, well, yeah, it's like the guys on the island, and they like, it's always like this like tattered little like ragtag, like disconnected, like very like like underfunded, like and then look at Shadows,
like remnant of what was once great.
Exactly. That's actually a great way of putting it. Where Unity, it was like the Jedi freaking Order. It was like, we are having meetings. We are organized. These are our tenets. That's what I was under the impression that the Brotherhood was. When in reality, it's far often more something like Shadows, where it's like this one dude, or in the case of Shadows nowadays, like, let's do this. Let's get together, and I'm going to start a little band of people. Exactly. Where I loved that vibe of the true Brotherhood, and that little, I don't know, the cave that you go in every 5 missions in Unity, and I loved it. I loved it. And conversely, I want that to be the Templars as well. I want there to be an organized Templar order where they have, like, kind of more so what they had in Syndicate. Syndicate didn't have the Brotherhood side of things, but they had like Crawford
Odyssey
Starrick.
had like the freaking cave under the Temple of Athena.
True. You need
Athena?
both of them.
I don't know.
Both of them.
Temple of someone.
Okay, one thing that is true, though, as I'm thinking about this, is you've never had both of them. Unity didn't have a Templar home-based organized order. It was that one Germer guy who was like the worst villain ever. And then like Syndicate had Crawford Starrick in his mansion and like a few other Templars, but there was no
religious
organized
house.
Brotherhood
Yeah.
outside of a freaking train. They hung out at the train with Henry Green, and they like talked about an Indian Brotherhood, and they talked about all this stuff, but I want to see it. I want to see people who are in charge. That's why Unity was cool. It was kind of political, and it was like, that's why freaking Bellic's character is so cool, because he goes against like the president or whatever the hell you call him, and he kills him, and he's like, I'm acting out of it. I need that. That's what makes Assassin's Creed. If you have an organized Brotherhood going against an organized Templar order, like they're fighting in either side of World War I, it would be gas. It would be so good, and or not just World War I, but any of these conflicts where I need that level of organization, and then it would feel so Assassin's Creedy again. It would make me so happy. It's a strange number one, but it would really bring it back to its roots, that little thing. I really think so.
It's so easy to just be like, oh yeah, it was the Germans. Like, they were Templars. And like,
it's
the Assassins
so
had no
easy.
presence in Germany because they were so stronghold, and they riled up all the leadership, and they were the ones that started this war, and they were the one, like, they're the root evil of all of this. And they're trying to vastly grow. They're sick of being under the shadows for thousands of years. They're going to make this happen in a few years. And so they're making drastic measures to take over the world, because that's what they really want. And, right. Oh, yeah. Anyways.
It's so easy. But yeah. Yes, that somehow, and it is. That's the thing I want the most. To put it more succinctly, the thing I want the most for the future of Assassin's Creed is Assassins versus Templar in a very intentional and well thought out story set in some historical time period where that makes sense. And I don't think that's a crazy ask.
And you know what I don't want? I don't want the Order of Ancients. I don't want the Shimbakfu. I don't want the Shibi-Iki whatever that, like, no.
Yes.
None of these
True.
Kirkland brand, like none of these Walmart brand versions of what we know is the OG Assassins versus Templars. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. That's a great point. My number one is a little random, but I will die on this hill.
Nice.
And it's a little left field. That's why I want it on my number one. It's not what you would think it would be. And so my number one thing that I want to see in a future Assassin's Creed game, and this is very possible, this is not a pipe dream, Ubisoft, listen up. I want to have a true Templar game. And before you comment Rogue was not. Do not tell me that was a Templar game. It was a knockoff, rebranded Assassin's game where they just flip-flopped. All the Assassins are actually very powerful, and they have big bases all over the town, and you are a Templar, and you weak Templars, and they got to build up from the ground up and take out all these bases, but you were a converted Templar too from the Assassins, and that was a cool story element. But no. What I mean is I want a Templar game from like medieval Europe, where it's like, no, you are a knight in shining armor, and you have a giant broadsword, and you have a giant red Templar cross on your chest, and you are part of some holy empire, and maybe that's just like a ruse for all of the Templars, like that, they're trying to get in anywhere they can, and so they start this holy war where they, are trying to take over everything and bring control to everything, and you are the closest thing that we've gotten to it, and it was so freaking cool, was the very beginning of Assassin's Creed Unity. Before you go into the revolutionary France, you start, I don't know how long before, it was a long time before, and it tells a story of this assassin who, by the way, is wearing this, the assassin is like Altair's same outfit, but it's black. And it was so cool. And I like that because it shows that he's just an ordinary assassin. Like that assassin that Altair, like that outfit that Altair wore was kind of just like the assassin outfit. Everybody had it. And they did the same thing in Brotherhood. Everybody had like the same 3 outfits depending on your rank or whatever. So this is just an assassin going to take out this Templar, and he like kills your father and your leader, and then like, but you're this huge brutish tank guy wearing armor with a huge red cross on your chest and a huge broadsword, and you fight this assassin and you fight his friends and all this stuff. It was so cool. Like, you're getting sieged, and it's the coolest cutscene. If you want to have a taste of what I'm talking about, go replay or play for the first time the beginning of Unity. It's amazing. And it would be so easy for them to go a little bit off of what they usually do. Yeah. yes, Johnny.
Well, yes. No, again, Ubisoft, listen up, because it's a perfect sequel to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Okay, hear me out.
Oh, true.
King Arthur ends the Ancient Ones. He said, "This is corrupt. I want to start the Templar Order." Eivor lets it happen. You start, and guess what happens right around that time? The Crusades. You are the leading knight in the Crusades, and you are starting the Templar Order, and you have the cross on your chest, and you have your holy war, and you go through maybe a couple maps. Maybe you march through Italy, maybe you march through the Middle East, and you go to Constantinople, and you take back your it could be evil, it could be dark, it could be historically accurate. You could still, and it could show like the tenets of the Templars and control and like how terrible the Crusades really were. And you could be that knight. It fits in flawlessly.
Oh my gosh. Well, and then that could tie into Eivor's story, where it's like, because Eivor chose to not be an assassin and chose to leave Europe and made all these decisions to not help the Assassin's Brotherhood, it kind of turned into this domino effect, because he talked to, is it King Alfred?
So good. Yep.
He talked to King
Arthur?
Alfred.
Yeah, Alfred.
And King Alfred's like, yes, I am the one behind all of this. And, but I'm also the reason for their downfall, and I want to start a new order. And Eivor's like, cool, you be you, man.
Yeah, let's it happen. Yeah.
Live your life. And it's like,
dude,
that would have been a crazy start, where it's like, because of the negligence of someone, and not to make him a bad guy, I'm not saying that at all, but like to kind of see like because this happened, look at what this led into, and it was the creation of the Templar Order as we know it in a lot of the future games, not the or the Order of Ancients. It's truly the Templars, and they're different. They are different.
Oh my God, you cooked. You could literally, historically accurately, like it ties in with the end of Valhalla. You could be the Knights Templar who starts the order, and
going everywhere, like you said.
It would be sick. You go everywhere. It would be so good. We gotta like drive there and
go to France. Hey!
Posters. we
go to Ubisoft HQ.
Oh my God! You know what? I scratch my number 3. I want that even more than World War I. I want a Knights Templar starting the Templar Order game, and you have to like combat these, and then you end the hidden ones, and they turn into the Assassin's Brother. Like it's right there. It's right there.
Yeah, because the hidden ones like. So the Templars, it seems like happened right before the hidden ones turned into assassins, because Basim was a hidden one, and it's just 100 years before the fall of Alamut, and then the creation of the Assassin's Brotherhood at the new place. Now I'm forgetting that name. At
Masyaf, yeah.
Masyaf, yeah. It's like they could tell that story in tandem even, and keep the dual protagonist thing, where the one you've got. Instead of dual protagonist, you have antagonist, protagonist. And so you're playing as a Templar who's a beefcake, and you're playing as an assassin who's now an assassin, not a hidden one. And you see both come to light, and it's like you're fighting against different causes the entire game, and it concludes to something. I don't know what. Doesn't matter.
Oh, I'll tell you right now. The end. This is the ending scene. The credits rise.
Spoilers for our fake game.
This is. It's turned into a full blown like fan fiction episode, and I'm here for it. So you ready? Ready? Hear me out. You're that Knights Templar guy. You've got this sick armor now. You've got the cross, the white thing on you, this really cool helmet, and you dig deep down in this temple, and you pull out this apple, and the game ends with you giving it to, Altair's mentor, and then he wakes Altair up and he's like, "Get up, you're lazy," or something like that, and then it ends, and that's the game. And it's be like, oh, it's right there. It's
ties
right there.
Into AC1 because he's freaking old, and he's actually really old because of the apple too.
Well, it's I think AC1 takes place in 1100. That is the time of the Crusades. It's all there. This is probably what really happened in lore, guys. We're just, bringing it out and bringing
Bro,
it.
you know what we need to do, Johnny? I am serious about this because AI is AI, what we have AI today. We need to come up with like a storyboard of what this game could be and do AI images or like just little like snippets of videos like you can do now.
I'm so in.
And like tag you. We have the following for it. Tag Ubisoft and be like,
yeah.
Everyone share this. This is our game idea. If you like Assassin's Creed, you have to do this.
I'm in. I'm so in. We could write it out just like we said, and we could really get our history right. We could get the times right. We could figure out exactly what happened at the end of Valhalla and the beginning of AC1 and tie everything in so perfectly. And guess what? Guess what? You have Layla and Desmond working on it together in the background in the world tree. And it would be, and then you bring the two of them together. Oh my God.
Old games and new games are now tied in completely.
That would be absolutely God tier. God tier. What a great way to end the episode, Bubba. Now I'm going to have lovely Assassin's Creed dreams. And
we're going to be texting each other like crazy. And Johnny's hilarious. I'm going to give him, he's never heard me give him flack for this. The way that he texts is super funny. When he texts me, he'll do like half of a message at a time. He'll be like, "Hey," and then this, that, and then this and that, and then this and that, and it's like message. And so my phone will just start blowing up. I'm like, "What's going on?" Oh, it's Johnny, but instead of a paragraph of texts, it's one sentence at a time in 10 different lines.
Mom? Why do I have to send a book when I text? I think in thoughts, and I do that. I guilty as charged. I've never heard anyone call me out on it though, so thank you for that.
That's how we're gonna storyboard. I want to take screenshots of pages of text.
I'm so in. I will text you about this. This is making me so happy, and I will will this to happen. Guys, tag Ubisoft, and you know what? Even more than that, if you made it this far into this fan fiction, we love you. We appreciate it, and please give us your 3. We want to hear what you guys
Yeah.
will think. What do you guys want? What do you guys want Assassin's Creed to look like? It can be anything. Gameplay, like we said, like gear. It can be weapons. It can be, what kind of protagonists do you want? Do you want them to be male, female? Where are they from? It can be anything. What do you guys want it to look like? You want a game in the future? You want an actual Isu game with like Adam and Eve? What do you want? So let us know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and we do appreciate
Let
you
us
guys that
know.
made it this far. I love. There's not a lot of people that watch this, and that's not our plan. We don't want this. We're not trying to blow something up or anything like that. But we just do know that you guys are nerds just like us, and
Yep.
you eat it up, and we do too. And that's why we make this content. It's not to get all these views or anything. It's to connect with you guys that are mega nerds like us. That's why I do everything that I do on TikTok. I know I'm not that active
Hell
anymore.
yeah.
But, that's the biggest thing is like, I want a community of people that can nerd out about this stuff because my friends in Utah are not nerdy enough to talk to me. And they don't play the games I do. So it's like I think just the other day, I was at my dad's house and he's like, are you still doing the streaming stuff? Like they have like no idea. Like they don't even know.
Yeah, oh, totally.
Like, are you
I
still
do it
doing
out of their
streaming stuff? I'm like,
basement.
not
Yeah.
that much. And they're like, what do you do like every night when you're done hanging out with your wife or whatever? I'm like, oh yeah, like I was up till like 2 a.m. the other night. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, playing games. With who? People on the people I've never met in my life.
Yeah, they
Like,
don't get it.
in my
they
Discord,
don't.
people that live in Canada and England and wherever that I don't live, and Johnny in Boston and whatever. Let me just dox
Yeah.
Johnny real quick. And
No, please. Yeah, I'm in Boston, guys.
but it's the coolest thing. That's my favorite part is the community. So thank you guys for watching our stuff, for nerding out with us. We do want to hear your comments. We read all of them. And yeah, let us know your top 3 things that you want to see, or if we're off our rocker and our stuff, our ideas are terrible. Let us know.
Yeah.
They're not though.
Again, guys, it's a busy
the
time
best.
of the year in the summer. So we're gonna try to get this thing back to once every 2 weeks, get 2 episodes out a month. That'll be ideal. I'm sure in the winter we can pop that out. It's just busy right now, so it's gonna be kind of a play it by ear type deal. But we love you. We thank you so much for your patience and for nerding out with us, as Bubba said. And we will see you very, very soon. We hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much.
Bye.